Hello, this is Local Edition. I'm Leslie Layton. Congressman Alan Lowenthal is looking to Governor Brown, asking for a little extra cash to help with our local homelessness issue. He's with us now to talk about that and a few other things. Welcome.
Thank you, Leslie. Good to be here.
Is it the responsibility of the state? Do you think the Fed should get more involved? And how much should the local community be involved in this?
That's a great question. Homelessness, we now understand, is an issue that no one level of government is going to solve all the problems. We need local governments, local nonprofits, we need the state, and we need the federal government all to target homelessness. It is becoming a national because of housing prices, because of the lack of mental health services, our closing many years ago, our state hospitals. We have a lot of people on the streets, and it's growing in all communities.
It seems there's a resistance to create the facilities that could help people. Maybe there is a lack of direction as far as what kind of mental health facilities or what kind of permanent and temporary shelters would really help this ladder of needs that we see with our homelessness.
I think you're raising the other critical issue, is that a one-size-fits-all is not going to work, that we are going to need kind of an overall plan about transitional housing, permanent housing, mental health, supportive services, wraparound services. But I just remind you that in this region, Southern California, we have about 50,000 homeless people in Southern California. 20% of the nation's homeless population is in California. If this was an emergency, we just watched this past week what took place in the hurricanes and the immediate ability to set up shelters. We've watched the flooding in Louisiana, but the homeless population is invisible. If some state had 50,000 people that were out because of some issue, and we're just talking about our region has 50,000, the Southern California area, over 100,000 in the state, we would do something. It's just that homelessness is not visible to everyone.
Well, it is not invisible much anymore, right? In our Orange County Civic Center Plaza, we see encampment. So it is becoming visible, and this is when people do begin to act on it. Some people are a paycheck away, some people have mental health issues. Some people would be getting disability if not for the fact that they don't know how to fill out the paperwork.
That's exactly right.
So this help is available. So why has it been so slow to happen?
I think, one, because there has not been a concerted effort of all sides coming together, a comprehensive approach. No one group can do it all. The state can't, the local governments cannot deal alone, and the federal government cannot target specifically as much. We need everyone working together, and that's why the California delegation they said to Governor Brown, HUD has increased its funding for homelessness. We need the state to also step up and match and do greater amount of discretionary funding.
Okay, so money's good, but if you start with a philosophy and what it will look like, how you're going to spend that money.
We know what to do. This is not rocket science anymore. The local communities and NGOs are working very hard. We know we need the resources now to really make sure that we have workers on the streets, and we already have them out there, but they're shortchanged. They're not, that we have enough hospital beds, that we have enough transitional housing at first. And that's going to take both federal government, who provides that kind of assistance to transitional housing. But I don't think we need to reinvent the wheel. We need to look at those models, and we have tremendous models here in Orange County and also in LA County, that can really need to be beefed up, and we need to really focus on this at our highest priority, and we will be able to kind of move people towards greater independence and off the streets.
Okay. You are also looking at land far away, Vietnam, and some of the religious abuses going on. You've written a letter with Congressman Royce, asking that Vietnam be added back to the countries of particular concern.
Yes.
Why?
Well, we've been working with Vietnam. You know, Vietnam wants to become part of the Trans-Pacific Partnership and wants to have better economic trade relationships with the United States. A number of us in Congress, including Congressman Royce, myself, in a bipartisan way, we're both on the Foreign Affairs Committee, have realized that Vietnam has not really done anything more, and it actually has taken many steps back in terms of providing especially religious freedoms. And so Vietnam was one of the countries on the countries of particular concern, but in 2006 it committed to doing more towards religious freedom. We have not seen that now. It's been 10 years. They have been arresting people, not allowing for religious freedom in the country. So Congressman Royce and I have said, well, we've given you a lot of time. We've taken you off the list. We're advocating that they go back on the list.
So you send the recommendation to Senator Kerry, but
that's right.
He can ignore it.
But I think the message is that the Congress is watching very closely, and the Congress is putting this up. And Vietnam and Senator Kerry are asking for to include Vietnam in other kinds of trade agreements. And we're saying, let's see the kind of benefits, the religious freedom first. Let's see them step up.
As the average American person, why should we care about the religious freedoms in Vietnam?
Because we are the beacon, maybe the last beacon of human rights standards throughout the world, that we do not tell countries how they should fix it, who should be, what parties should be in. We're not like other countries that come in and interject, but what we do say is that we are here to promote democracy, to promote freedom. You have agreed to these agreements. You are now coming to us for other kinds of relationships. Live up to your agreements. The United States lives by the rule of law, and we live up to our agreements. And we're asking other countries who want better relationships with us to live up to their agreements.
What kind of leverage do we have? Economic sanctions?
Well, we have economic sanctions. We also have trade agreements. And I have already gone to Vietnam and been very public that I will not support the Trans-Pacific Partnership until Vietnam changes its behavior. They need our votes.
What do you see as the most important issues that need to be addressed in your area right now?
Well, one of the most important issues, well, I think infrastructure and goods movement. I represent the port areas of LA Long Beach, or the Long Beach side primarily, and then the infrastructure out through Orange County and out to the Inland Empire and through the rest of the nation.
That's really a main artery for products and
40% of the nation's goods come through my district. We have world-class ports, but we have inferior infrastructure once they leave the ports. People can't get in parts of the state here, and like Riverside, from one side of town to the other side because they have to wait for 15 minutes for a train to go. All of that has to be improved. All of that has to be fixed. We have to fix our bridges, and we have to realize that freight drives the nation. Freight is what pays for things. What the owners of the goods want is to get their goods to market, to their place, on time, when they want it.
And changing infrastructure is a big deal, and
that
other
is
ports
going to be.
could get busy
I would
and
believe
take us
that
over.
the next Congress, in a bipartisan way, you are going to see a major reinvestment in American infrastructure. We have kind of let it slide. We've gone through some very difficult times, but we're trying to compete against the world, and we must have that kind of infrastructure, both educational, human infrastructure, and especially physical infrastructure.
Congressman Alan Lowenthal, thank you for coming by to talk about these issues.
It's always nice to talk to you, Leslie.
And other things.
Good.
Thank you very much. And glad you could join us too. I'm Leslie Layton.